Welcome to another episode of the SportsBros Podcast, featuring the Almighty B Live, the Money Man Scottie D, and your host, the head of creative, Eddy Cool. And without any further ado, let's give it up for the Sports Bros. Hey, what's going on, world? This be your boy, Eddy Cool, a.k.a. the HOC. And guess what? It is episode number 95 of your favorite podcast, none other than the Sports Bros Podcast. It is the day after the Super Bowl. And speaking of Super Bowls, what's the famous number 95? Well, off the top of my head, Greg Lloyd. Can't think of nobody else, but that's neither here nor there. Oh, and the number 95 is a representation of 1995. The first year of the Carolina Panthers. Yes. So I was able to kill two birds and one stone. Enough of my senseless rambling. I got two co-hosts. They're going to do some of the talking as well, too. First off, we have the Almighty B Live.
What's happening? What's going on in the world today? Man, the day after the Super Bowl, there could be so much to talk about. Because, I mean, pretty much almost the entire world comes together to watch this magnificence of an event and all the pomp and circumstance, and we dissect and analyze and how great was the commercials and the halftime performance and all this other hip hoop hurrah. And yeah, all right. See, just that quickly, I lost my breath because it's a lot. We're about to dive into it. It's going to be exciting. And then there's the other guy that's on this podcast. I guess you go ahead and talk about him as well. All right. Yes, sir.
And with that being said, the other guy on this podcast, the illest mashed potato slanger this side of the Appalachian Mountains, none other than the one, the only, the Money Man, Scottie D.
That's right. It's me. It's Scottie D. For those of you who are just joining us for a first time, I am the eye candy of the show, the brains behind the operation. But guys, you know, I'm coming in a little bit hot here this week. Every year, everyone says, "Man, Super Bowl Sunday, it's like a national holiday. I can't wait. I can't wait for the Super Bowl. We're going to get our chips and dips and wings and beers and pizzas, and it's going to be a great day, and I can't wait." And then look at social media, man, and y'all are miserable. I hated the pregame show. The national anthem sucked. The halftime show was terrible. The commercials weren't even good this year. Tom Brady's in it again. I hate Brady. You hate the referees. You hate the announcers. Why y'all watching this? You're miserable. You hate it.
Because their chip and dip is nasty, that's why.
Oh, okay. So it's the chip and dip that gets everyone in bed. Look at Facebook on all day Sunday and Monday. You hate everything. Save yourself the trouble next year. Don't even watch the Super Bowl.
Yeah. Scottie D is coming in hot.
They think it's fixed because Tom Brady won again. Guys, you and I, you guys and myself, we're wrestling fans, right? I mean, we're out of the closet wrestling fans.
Yeah.
Yesterday,
never in the closet. Never in the closet. I just want to make sure that.
Never in there. Out there with us.
Okay. Well, this past Sunday if it was wrestling, that would have been WrestleMania. And if you have Tom Brady going against Patrick Mahomes in WrestleMania, who would they predetermine to win that? Wouldn't it be the young guy getting the rub, going over on the old guy? Why does everyone think that the referees were programmed for Tom Brady to win the league? They want Brady to win again. Like, why? Patrick Mahomes is the face of the NFL right now, and he had a terrible day. Give me a break with the referee stuff on that. Let's get into the Super Bowl, guys, huh? I'm coming in hot. Let's go to the Super Bowl.
Yeah, and so just for the listeners, the Money Man Scottie D is coming in hot. He's also coming in full of it. If he's the face of the of the podcast, the brains, the eye candy, the brains of the operation. Let's go ahead and let's just stop the lies right now before we get into the meat and potatoes of this operation. Eddy Cool, go ahead and Amtrak this thing. Yes, sir.
To our lady listeners, we thank you for listening to another episode of the Sports Bros Podcast. But with that being said, we gonna hop right into this here Super Bowl talk. It was Super Bowl 55. Patrick Mahomes versus the GOAT, Tom Brady. Baby GOAT versus old nanny GOAT. All right, Tom Brady, the 55th edition, coming to you live and direct from Tampa, Florida, a.k.a. it was a home game for the Buccaneers. It was in Florida. The weather was nice, and I'm not going to lie to you. Did not watch the national anthem. Did not watch the pregame. Didn't give a damn about the halftime show. I just want to see football. Because I'm not going to lie to you, I was halfway gone on that 19 Crimes Snoop Dogg wine, which is great for all you wine drinkers out there. You got to get you some Snoop Dogg wine in your life. And with that being said, let's get to the game itself. Well,
you can sign off the when you pay us in Bitcoin via our email address sportsbrospcast@gmail.com. Snoop Dogg, thank you very much. All right, Eddy Cool.
Yeah, we ain't doing nothing for free over here. We got needs, jobs, and everything. All right. So with that being said, let's go ahead and get into this game here. Kansas City comes in as the favorite, and Tampa Bay comes in as the underdog. Well, after 4 quarters of football, we couldn't tell as Tampa Bay puts the boots, the Stomp Jackson, the kibosh on the Kansas City Chiefs. 31-9. Now, it was a clean sweep an episode ago. We all picked Kansas City.
We did.
We all did. And you know, we're okay with being wrong. We're okay with being wrong because if you also listen to last week's episode, I did say this was going to be one in the trenches, and the game damn sure proves that. Be Live, you're chomping at the bit. What you think about it?
Well, first of all, I'm thinking about the fact that we said that we came into agreement. I just posted on our on YouTube and our Facebook page the the audio clip where I started off by saying that if they were able to get to Patrick Mahomes, and then Scottie D came in and said agreed that if it would negate their speed, and then you finished off with the trenches. We in this together. Don't be that. I ask the question all the time. Who is we? This is we.
Yeah, this is we.
Us.
Us, we. This is us. I ain't gonna run from that. No, we said it. Go ahead though.
But simply put, just like you said, Eddy Cool, man. And you mentioned it last week about the offensive line being depleted, and it showed in spectacular fashion. I have never seen a quarterback run for his life like Patrick Mahomes did, and also shows some spectacular ability to get the ball down the field in the worst of situations. Yes, it wasn't ideal. Yes, there were a couple of interceptions, but the fact that he still managed to get a couple plays off, he threw a 30-yard bullet spiral pass down the field, and he was horizontal when he threw it.
Yeah.
Like, how? And what made it even worse is that the ball got down there. Yes, there was defenders down there, but each one of those times that Patrick Mahomes did something incredible and magnificent, the first person to touch the ball was a Chief. And they dropped. They were drops. They weren't. I mean, they were contested, but they were drops. After Patrick Mahomes, Patrick Mahomes was back there like, yo, what more can I do? Offensive line ain't helping. Receivers can't catch the ball. Running backs ain't running. Hold on now. Wait a minute. Hold. Let's try this out. But we spend a lot of time talking about Patrick Mahomes, Tom Brady, GOAT, baby GOAT, this, that, and the third. Hats off to Todd Bowles.
Mm-hmm.
Man, if he didn't draw up a defensive scheme like none other to neutralize the number one offensive attack in the NFL. And one thing I mentioned last week was the fact that if you get to Patrick Mahomes and get him out of his comfort, it's going to be a real hard day for Kansas City. And that's exactly what happened. I think Todd Bowles was listening to our podcast and drew that together. So City of Tampa Buccaneers, Tom Brady's seventh finger. You're welcome.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, sir.
Scottie D, where you at on the whole Super Bowl thing? This whole Super Bowl.
It looked to me like the Chiefs maybe were a little overconfident, like they were pretty sure they were just going to win this game again, and didn't look all that prepared. But it looked like they got hit in the mouth early, and they looked out of it early, even though the score was, I think it was 7-3 at one point. I remember seeing Mahomes threw a ball to Kelsey. Well, he had already thrown one that he dropped earlier. He threw another one that got knocked down, and Kelsey's body language looked like, we can't figure these guys out. He looked deflated and defeated, and it was the first or second quarter. I mean, it was early in that game. I don't know if they weren't prepared, but they were sloppy. I mean, I know there was a lot of criticism that in the first half the referees were throwing too many flags. Yeah, maybe they were, but if they're going to be calling flags for defensive holding, then don't hold, don't grab. They were aggressive. And if if you know that you're going to get called with it, you have to alter that a little bit. You had one situation, the score was 7-3, I think, and the Buccaneers kicked a field goal. They had a guy line up off sides. I mean, come on, man. In the Super Bowl, you're lining up off sides. That gave him an extra 5 yards, and a play later, Brady throws a touchdown strike to Gronk. This game was definitely won in the trenches because Brady wasn't getting touched. I mean, we know Mahomes was running for his life, but look how much time Brady had back there. I mean, he looked comfortable. You know, they weren't getting to him really. They may have got to him a couple times, but not. I mean, he was nowhere near under fire like Patrick Mahomes. They didn't look crisp. They didn't look focused. They looked sloppy. You know, I even wonder if maybe this whole thing with Andy Reid's son was weighing on them as a team, because, man, what a bad situation that is where, you know, earlier in the week, his son, who was a coach on the team, I think a linebackers coach, I'm sure everybody knows the story by now where he hit a vehicle and badly injured a couple little kids in the back seat. You know, that's got to weigh heavy on Andy Reid, especially because I don't know if you guys remember, but Andy Reid's oldest son, Garrett, died in training camp when he was with Philadelphia back in 2012. I don't know. Do you guys remember that at all?
I remember.
He was, I think, a strength coach or something with them, or some type of assistant. So there's obviously some family things going on with Andy Reid, and you know, I'm not one to point fingers at people that have those kind of personal problems, but who knows if that weighed on the team a little bit. They just didn't look good to me at all. Obviously, they didn't even get in the end zone, but Tampa looked ultra prepared. Like you said, the defense, they looked fantastic. I mean, the Washington football team put up a better fight against Tampa than the Chiefs did. The Chiefs, it just on this day, the better team won. That's really all there was to it. I mean, and it was obvious.
One thing that, Scottie, you pointed out that what was the glaring difference in this game. Tom Brady did not get touched, but there was a reason behind that actually made me rethink the game. The big difference between Kansas City and Tampa Bay, their offenses, in the Super Bowl. Kansas City and Patrick Mahomes, they spend a lot of time letting plays develop. Got to go route here, wheel route, motion, play action. So Patrick Mahomes is back there 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 seconds waiting for these plays to develop. And you don't have that much time. I don't care who you are. And Tampa Bay had a perfect defensive scheme for him. Tampa Bay's offense, on the other hand, with Tom Brady, because they knew going into the game that Kansas City pressures the quarterback the most in the NFL, just throwing a couple stats out there. they were throwing screen passes, quick slants. They're on average, I think there was a couple stats that were saying that Tom Brady had the ball out of his hands within 3 seconds. It was I don't have the exact figure in front of me, but majority of the passing plays and of course the running plays, the ball's out of his hands. So pretty much all the plays, the ball was out of Tom Brady's hands within 3 seconds, which will completely negate a pass rush, which Kansas City has leaned on a lot. And also, what that also negates, if your secondary is not doing well on press coverage, a lot of screens, that will negate your secondary, because then now you got linemen on the second level against little scrawny little dudes, and then it starts to expose some people in the secondary that I will allude to a little bit later. So the offensive schemes of both teams were completely different, and the score.
Yeah, I mean, you're right. You're right about him getting it out quicker, because if you look, this game really wasn't offensively for the Buccaneers about their great group of receivers. I mean, Godwin, Evans didn't have hardly any catch. I mean, I think they may have caught a ball each. Scotty Miller wasn't really involved. It was Gronk. It was Leonard Fournette, I think, had his season high in catches. So Brady was getting the ball out. He wasn't standing back there and taking hits. When he did go down the field, he went a couple times. I think he had a deeper one to Antonio Brown, and then he had the touchdown to Gronk, I think, was like a 25 or 30 yard throw, something to that effect. But yeah, they had him guessing. So credit to Byron Leftwich, the offensive coordinator for Tampa. They ran a good game plan, man. They were just better. They were better coached and they played better. It was just obvious that the better team won. I didn't think Tampa Bay. We all kind of said last week we wouldn't be surprised if Tampa Bay won, but I don't think any of us thought they were just going to run Kansas City off the field to the tune of them not even getting into the end zone.
No, we knew it was two things that we figured out. Either this game was going to be close or it was going to be a blowout. We got it right. We just didn't pick the right damn team. And we also, like we said before, hey, you can never count Tom Brady out. And as I mentioned in the previous episodes, Eric Fisher was out. The doctor, Laurent Duvernay-Tardif, who's fighting COVID-19 on the front lines of Canada as a doctor, he opted out the whole season. And then Mitchell Schwartz, so you were down, 1, 2, 3 top flight offensive linemen. And then you got Mike Remmers, which I will talk about later on in this episode. You got Mike Remmers and then everybody else doing the best they can to their abilities. But as we seen, it wasn't enough. Not enough.
I'm gonna throw a quick stat line to you real quick, to back up Scottie D. Tampa Bay wide receivers had 8 catches for, let me see this real quick, 62 yards.
That's all.
Mike Evans, Antonio Brown, Chris Godwin. All 3 of them are top tier wide receivers, and they had 8 catches for 62 yards, 1 score. Rob Gronkowski by himself outgained the wide receivers. That shows you the defensive scheme. And then on the flip side with Kansas City, Patrick Mahomes, Tyreek Hill finally got the ball, but I don't think he had his first catch until the second half.
He had a couple in garbage time, I think. I mean, late in the game, but certainly not what you would expect from Tyreek Hill.
No, and Travis Kelce got 10 receptions for 133 yards?
Yeah. And I mean, those are typical Travis Kelce numbers, but you had no help from anybody else. Like what did Tyreek Hill had 200 some odd yards in the first half, the first game
against him. Yeah,
it was like, no, we ain't about to. You ain't about to just do that again. No, little buddy. And so that was something else that I saw, was that of course Tyreek Hill, Patrick. I said not Travis Kelce are going to be his Patrick Mahomes' number one, number two options. By the time he was getting to his progressions, trying to get, and those two options were covered, Patrick Mahomes was running for his life, and so it just looked sloppy. He never got a rhythm, because literally I sat for 3 quarters watching this game. I'm like, at some point in time, they're going to flip the switch. They're going to flip the switch. Kansas City has been down in every single postseason game I can remember. They were down. Last Super Bowl they were down an incredible amount and scored 21 unanswered that quickly, and they scored 21 answered 2 weeks ago. It's like they were waiting on that switch, waiting on them to flip that switch, and it never happened. I think the most deflating part was when they drove the ball down the field yet again and had to settle for yet another field goal. And it's just like they can't get the ball into the end zone. They could not do it. And like I said, again, kudos to the real MVP, the Tampa Bay defense.
Yeah, and Todd Bowles. And there was one point in the game, I mean, even Kansas City, they just looked tough, terrible all night. And the punter, Tommy Townsend, he shanks not one but 2 punts off his foot.
Good. And that right there shows nerves. Yeah. That shows being unprepared. Man, what was that? Was there a penalty? Because the first punt he got off was
he actually dropped.
He bobbled it.
Yeah,
he bobbled it. Yeah, he bobbled it.
Oh, he bobbled it. Picked it up, but they was able to get it off. That's what it was. He bobbled it, got it, and he kicked it off. But then there was a penalty on it.
Yeah, it was
kicked the next like 20 yards.
It was a holding.
Yeah.
Because it was a holding, because if that guy didn't hold him and drag him down to the ground, that punt was going to be blocked.
Yeah.
I remember that now. And then the second one went 20 yards. And then you were just like, wait a minute, hold on. That I'd have been on the sideline. Timeout. I'm in where I bring in the whole team. You know they never do that. I don't think I've ever seen them bring in the whole team during the timeout.
Only in basketball.
I'm like, hey, everybody. I need everybody. Full timeout, everybody, real quick. Hey, cut this out. I don't know what y'all got going on. Just say, hey, this the big one.
Yeah. He put two 27-yard ducks in the air, and that doesn't help. Was it 27? Was 17? Either way, Tommy Townsend had 2 bad punts. Yes, he's young, but you're in. This is a Super Bowl where you can't afford to make any mistakes.
You get paid to do one job. I don't care how young, old, indifferent, whatever. Yeah. Especially as a special teams player, you have one job. Now, when it comes to quarterbacks, wide receivers, position players, et cetera, they have multiple jobs. Mm-hmm. As a punter, you might have 2 jobs. You might also be the holder for field goals. So you might have 2 jobs. But you really have
there was
job.
A lot more to that game though than a bad punt, though. I mean, it was just domination.
Yeah, but it was that. But what Eddie's saying.
Oh yeah, sure. I kept thinking that the switch was going to go on too, and I thought it might happen after the goal line stand. When the Buccaneers go for it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And I thought they made a mistake by not giving Leonard Fournette the ball down there, and I thought, okay, maybe this is Kansas City's. They dodge a bullet. They get a little bit of momentum if they go down the field and score. 2 plays later. I think that's when that punt occurred, actually. It was like right after that. Just a couple plays after that. It was a dominant performance and the best team won.
Tom Brady gets ring number 7, fellas, which means he alone has more than his former team, the New England Patriots, the San Francisco 49ers, the Pittsburgh Steelers, and there's one more team that is it the Cowboys? That escapes me at the time.
Well, the Cowboys have 5, but the 49ers and Steelers, I believe, have 6 each.
Okay, yeah. So Tom.
No, I'm sorry.
I don't get it.
No. They have 5.
No, the 49ers have 5.
The Steelers and Patriots.
The Steelers and the Patriots have 6.
Yeah, fellas, I don't know about y'all, but I don't get too caught up in the GOAT talk because it's generational, if you ask me. But at 43 years old. We have a guy that threw for 40 touchdowns, played played the entire postseason with no bye.
Yeah.
And went out there and played mistake-free football, was doing some woofing, some rah, 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 some back and forth with the Honey Badger, living in his head rent-free. Rent-free. And he got to him. I was like, yeah, all Tom Brady was got to get to one person. That's it. And it got to him, and the Honey Badger was never the same because he had that interception that got called back, they called back, and then after that, man, Kansas City they look bad. They look real bad. So Tom Brady, fellas, Tom Edward Fitzgerald Brady. I know I butchered his name, but he got 7 of them things, and he's 43 years old. And guess what? He said, "I'm coming back next year."
Yeah, you know who else is coming back next year? Dak. So enjoy it now, Tom Brady.
Cut it out. Cut it out. Cut it out. Yo, if there's an organization that is in disarray,
is it baseball
the Dallas
season
Cowboys.
Yet?
Oh boy, because he trying to switch.
Pitchers and catchers reporting yet? Is it baseball time yet?
Yeah, pitchers and catchers are they reporting? First of all, baseball don't know what the hell they want to do with. They can't agree on nothing. They remind me of an old married couple.
Yeah,
they don't know what the hell they want to do. But yeah, fellas. So yeah, so that's it for football. We would talk about the NFL honors, but of course we know there's a snub. There was 2 award snubs, most namely Chase Young beat out Jeremy Chin to get the Defensive Rookie of the Year, and Aaron Donald beat out the league leader in sacks, T.J. Watt, to get the Defensive Player of the Year. Everything else is kind of commonplace. We knew who was going to do what, but those 2 awards. First of all, B-Live, us being Panthers fans, 21 Savage, Jeremy Chin, he got robbed.
Here, I'm gonna say this. I'm gonna say I won't necessarily say that Jeremy Chin got robbed. Because we're Panther fans, we're gonna see more Panther games than we're gonna see Redskin games. Honestly, looking back as an unbiased analyst, I'm trying. I think Chase Young was more disruptive for the Redskins. I think part of it did help that it wasn't just Chase Young on that line, but I think he made a bigger impact. Jeremy Chin is a more all-around player, and I just think that he just didn't. It's possibly a little bit more unfortunate because Chase Young was such a high draft pick and his name was already out there. Jeremy Chin became a household name. So it's one of those things where Jeremy Chin, yeah, that part he might have been cheated out of. I just think that all in all, I'm okay with Chase Young winning it. Now, one thing I'm not okay with because Ohio State is now bragging about the fact that they've produced 4 of the past 5 defensive rookies of the year. So I'm not okay because they bragging. They are definitely bragging just a little bit, there, but I think at the end of the day, both of them are going to have very promising NFL careers. Jeremy Chin, I'm so glad to have him because he filled like 3 different slots for us. Like we needed safety help, we needed cornerback help, we needed linebacker help, and he's a hybrid player. So I'm okay with it. I'm okay.
Yep. So Scottie D, what you think about what's the buzz in Pittsburgh, man? Since you're close to that area about T.J. Watt.
They're hating it up here. They absolutely hate it. They think he's the rightful winner instead of Aaron Donald. I don't know. I don't really care all that much. My guess would be that Aaron Donald probably saw a lot more double teams and that type of thing, and he was the leader on the best defense in the NFL this year. I don't know. I think Watt has a legitimate beef, but who cares? That's kind of where I stand on it. I actually thought that Derrick Henry, who was the offensive player of the year, should have also been the MVP, but that was a case I made a few weeks ago.
But are you really going to give anybody else the MVP besides Aaron Rodgers? I know he sucked in the postseason.
No, but like I said a
that
few
was
weeks
not
ago, Derrick Henry ran for over 2,000 yards on the offense that they knew he was getting the ball. He was very valuable. I'm not saying Aaron Rodgers wasn't. This wasn't like a huge snub. I think if I was casting a vote, that's how I would have voted. That's all.
Interessante. Yep. So let's see. Russell Wilson, what did he win? The Walton Payton Man of the Year. All right, fellas. So enough about this whole NFL thing and the NFL awards and what's some other news? We got Carson Wentz. He want to get the hell out of Philadelphia. Deshaun Watson, he still want to get the hell out of Houston. Everybody want to do a whole lot of moving around and so forth and so such. But fellas, there's another football. The most challenging football season has come to a close. What is we gonna do?
Start counting down to the draft, I suppose.
Yep, start counting down to the draft, and which means no football, which means we gotta talk about some college basketball. So, ladies and gentlemen, we'll be back with some college basketball next week and some NBA next week too, because let's face it, a lot of people really don't watch pro basketball until the last few months of the season. But it's been some good basketball being played, and we also have baseball coming up as well too.
Baseball's beginning, hockey's rolling. Yeah, we're gonna have some other stuff to talk about. No question about it.
And WrestleMania.
and next episode we'll throw in a little Daytona 500 NASCAR. Yeah, baby. Yeah.
The enthusiasm of the money man.
Yeah, I'm sure the Sports Bros podcast ratings are going to go through the roof when they find out we're going to be talking about car racing next week. Yeah.
Hey, that boys talking about Dale Earnhardt and them. Not really. I mean, we might give a shout out to the winner of the Daytona 500 or the Indy 500. But other than that, that's about it.
For our listeners, I'll say myself because I can't speak for we. Yeah. Who is we? I like NASCAR, but I just don't follow it that well. The reason why we actually talk about NASCAR on the Sports Bros podcast was it was a running theme during COVID, during the pandemic, during the shutdown, that we literally had nothing else on. So I was actually doing a weekly feature of the iRacing circuit where they were playing video games. It was the racing simulators. And so that just became a NASCAR thing. Yes, I'll put in a little button point. Well, what's the thing called? My brain ain't working today, but I'll make it a point to mention who won the big races, whatever. But if you're really looking for NASCAR, I'm pretty sure there's some other podcasts out there. We're gonna give you the entertainment. Please don't be asking us for some expert analysis about he made another left turn. Is
Dr. Jerry Punch still talking about racing? One of the NASCAR guys on ESPN. Is Ricky Rudd still racing?
I don't know.
What about Cale Yarborough?
Oh my goodness! You're just naming names. Maybe he knows more about it than I do. Those names sound familiar, but I do know that there's something with I think it's with Fox, that the two lead commentators, I guess, had a bitter feud when they were racing or whatever. And so they're actually playing off of that. So,
I'll watch just for that. Jeff Gordon and the other fella. I don't know the other fella. It's just, they just.
Oh, okay. I got to say this and we got to move on. We got to Amtrak this thing. I looked up because I wanted to make sure that the Daytona 500 is coming up on Sunday. And then the next question, when I Googled it, it says people also ask, and the first question, this is literally the first question, you could Google and check it for yourself. People also ask, do NASCAR drivers wear diapers? I cannot make this up. That's the next question. I looked up Daytona 500. The next question that Google thought, and that people ask a lot: do NASCAR drivers wear diapers? And that's why NASCAR does not get that much coverage on the Sports Bros podcast. Yes, sir.
Amen.
Amtrak.
Fellas, I got a question to ask you.
What's that, Eddie Cole?
Guess what time it is? It is time for our favorite segment of the show. And with that being said, hey, yo, Button, hit it.
And now, our favorite part of the show, the choices of the voices.
Once again, thank you to the wonderful and ever so lovely Miss Button for introducing our favorite section of the show. You heard the woman, the choices of the voices. Going back through the catalog, it used to be called listener interaction. Nah, we had to make this a very cool section of the show, and it's called the choice of the voices. Thank you to Button once again. And with that being said, Scottie D, what's the question for this week's choices of the voices?
All right, so this week we were talking about which team that won their respective championship game or series in any sport did you find to be the most surprising? There were several instances out there, and I was looking at some of our answers, Eddie, and there was a lot that came out that I was not even thinking of. So our listeners came through this week because there were some really good answers.
Yeah, because there was a few. I was like, I forgot all about that.
Yeah.
Yes, very much so.
I forgot about that, or I remember that, or damn, that did happen. Some great ones, yes, gentlemen. No lie, no doubt. No lies detected, some great ones. We're going to lead off with terrible Pete Talaski. And he said, well, there is the best example. The New York Giants beating the undefeated Patriots had to be the most surprising.
That definitely was surprising. 18-0. Mm-hmm. Wasn't that also, that was Tom Brady, Randy Moss, correct?
Yep.
Yeah, Jesus, yeah. And wasn't the Giants a wild card team also?
I believe they were, yeah.
Heavy underdog. So as much as that was a homer pick, it was very, very surprising to see them win, especially with the revenge factor on top of that you kept right now. Yeah, dude. Right now they would have Tom Brady would have 9 right now if it wasn't for the Giants. So yeah,
they were like all season long that year. The Patriots were like 17, 18, 19 point favorites. I mean, it was like unheard of point spreads. That's how good that team was rolling that year. So that was definitely a good example there. Terrible Pete.
They smoked them, man. They were smoking everybody. And then I remember, I think they caught Michael Strahan in the locker room eating a hot dog. He said, you know what? Look a man in the eye before you kill him or make something up. And I was like, I don't know if that set the tone that day, for the rest of the season. But, years later, I still remember that. Yeah, look a man in the eye before you kill him or make something up. Whew, yeah. Michael Strahan, everybody, Hall of Famer. Craig Burns, he said the Marlins over the Yankees in the 2003 World Series.
Yeah, that's one of those ones I had not even crossed my mind. But that Yankee team was really, really good. And the Marlins, I thought, were just going to be kind of a pushover going into that series. I didn't really know much about Josh Beckett. He just went out there and he became a household name pretty much after that. So that was... Yeah, a good one for that. A sad day that's a sad one for me because I pull for the Yanks, but yeah, I was not expecting the Marlins to win either time that they won the World Series.
Yeah, I mean, that was my Miami Marlins now had been in the league a whopping 10 seasons.
Mm-hmm.
Just story Yankee franchise and the amount of money that the Steinbrenners paid everybody there's no way that this little upstart Miami Florida Marlins team is going to beat the juggernaut that is the New York Yankees. But I was surprised, and just it gave my heart full of joy.
Okay.
I was very... All right, cool. Yes, sir.
Jug, jab, jab, jab. All right, so we got Rodney Bellamy. He said, gotta be, I love this one. Gotta be Happy Gilmore coming off the streets to win the tour championship. damn right. And after watching an NC State documentary recently, I'll throw Jimmy V versus North Carolina State Wolfpack out there. No way they had any business winning a national championship, but they pulled it off. Survived and advanced. That's exactly what they did.
Yeah, that was the Phi Slamma Jammy Houston team that they beat, and I believe, and that was the famous shot of Jimmy V running around the court looking for somebody to hug after the lob, pass, missed shot, whatever was tossed in at the buzzer.
Yeah, that was a good one. That was a good 30 for 32, man. Good 30 for 32. Trey Dizzle, he says, how about the U.S. hockey team winning in 1980? If that doesn't count, then the 2008 Giants run to beat the undefeated New England Patriots defecates, and he didn't say defecate, ladies and gentlemen, defecates on all other major sports Cinderella underdog stories. So that's 2 for the Patriots.
Yeah, and he's talking about the U.S. Gold medal team of 1980 and
against Russia, right?
Yeah, well, it was actually they were the Soviet Union at the time, but the Soviet Union was such a major favorite, but that was actually not in the gold medal game. So that one kind of, I almost equate that one in another answer I think JR gives us later when I was thinking of the UNLV team of 1991 going for the repeat, and they lost to Duke in the semifinal. Duke would go on to win the championship. I was more surprised by that semifinal result than the final. Once Duke got by UNLV, I was not surprised they beat Kansas. Same here. I can't, honestly tell you that I remember a lot about that. I remember when that hockey game was on, my dad watching it, and I was very young, and I don't remember really a whole lot about it other than there was a lot of excitement and talk on TV about them upsetting the United States, upsetting the Soviet Union. But then they would have to go on to beat Finland to win the gold medal, which they did.
What was what was Russia's nickname? The Central Red Army or something like that?
Yeah, I think that was it. Yeah.
Yeah, the good old Central Red Army. I had a few hockey cards, and I had some players from the Central Red Army. Hey, man, those Russians are tough when it comes to hockey, man. They are tough. TUFF.
And I just want to throw out there on Trey Dizzle that undefeated season for the Patriots, and that Super Bowl was the 2012 Super Bowl. 2008 was the first time that they beat him, and that was the David Tyree. I think that was the David Tyree helmet catch.
Yeah, that was the first one.
Oh wait,
the first, yeah. 08 was the helmet catch. 2012 was the stopping the undefeated season.
Yeah.
But yes, the 1980 U.S. hockey team. Again, it wasn't the gold medal, but it was just bigger than anything. So, do we allow it?
Yeah,
sure. It's their. This is their section of the show for them.
I will allow it.
I got a bone to pick with the next answer. Carry on, Eddie. Cool.
Here we go.
Here we go. We picking balls. All right, here we go. Matty Ice. He said it's got to be the 2004 Boston Red Sox comeback after being down 3 games to the New York Yankees. And then he said Pete Talansky should remember that the next 2 sudden death games went into extra innings, and the Sox never lost a game after that, sweeping the Cardinals and breaking the curse.
But hold on. I'm gonna step in because I wanted to simmer just a little bit longer. And first of all, this might be a penalty box answer because there's no sudden death in baseball. Also, this also wasn't the World Series, which this is what we were talking about. But also, coming down from 3 games, it's a pretty big game. It was a championship game. It was the AL Championship Series. So,
thank you.
But Scottie D, go ahead and say what you.
Well, that you kind of chimed in on what I was getting at, and that is that it was not in the World Series that they were. I mean, we knew they were going to beat the Cardinals in the World Series. They swept them. Now, I understand what he's saying. They were down 3-0, and that was surprising that they came back. But that Red Sox team in 2004, man, listen to the guys that they had on that team. They had Youkilis. It was barely playing then. That he couldn't get into the lineup every day. Kevin Youkilis could barely crack the lineup. They had Johnny Damon, Manny Ramirez, Gabe Kapler was in the outfield. They had Kurt Schilling on the mound. They had Big Poppy was in the lineup. They had Pedro on the mound. Wakefield was on the mound. Their 5 starters all won 10 games. That should not be a surprise. That should be a given. And that year they were 11-8 against the Yankees in the regular season. The Yanks had a hard time matching up with Boston that year. That shouldn't be a surprise, Matty Ice. They should never been down 3-0. You should be embarrassed of that. You should be embarrassed if they were down 3-0 to the Yankees. They should have swept the Yankees and then swept the Cardinals, and they allowed themselves to be down 3-0. You should be ashamed of that. Okay.
And Scottie D digress, ladies and gentlemen. Hashtag Money Man Rant.
I got a little bit more for you later, Matty Ice, so don't go anywhere. Don't touch that dial. All right, next answer.
Oh boy, put on 2 seatbelts. B-Live, won't we watch this game in B-Dubs, if I'm not mistaken?
Which game are you talking about? The Red Sox Yankees?
Yeah.
Well, 2000. It's a strong possibility. That sounds about That sounds about where I was at in that time frame.
Strong possibility. You may have been a little under the weather that night.
Under the influence.
Under the weather.
He wasn't the only one. I was under. I was under, but you know what? That's neither here nor there. Back to episode 95 of the Sports Bros podcast, not the personal adventures of Ric Flair and Arn Anderson. All right.
Woo!
Yeah. Hell, if I wasn't 26 years old, that did kill me. All right, so here we go. Hall of Famer Uncle Max, he says, I like this one. I almost forgot about it. I like this one. He says, how about Coastal Carolina winning the College World Series in 2016 against a heavily favored Arizona Wildcats team in the College World Series? Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, that was a good one.
We all like that answer.
Yeah.
Yes. What more can you say about that World Series? I remember exactly where I was at. I was in Fayetteville, North Carolina at Applebee's, brand new Applebee's on Ramsey Street. We had big, I want to say this TV was 70, 80 inches. I mean, huge freaking TV on our not as big as Overtime. It's so hard
to say. Anyway,
I digress. But the fact of the matter, I was I still couldn't believe that Coastal Carolina, out of little bitty old Conway, South Carolina, has made it all the way to the College World Series. Now, do not get it twisted. Coastal Carolina has always had a great baseball program. Mm-hmm. It's one of those things just to be at that, when you think of colleges in South Carolina, you think of Clemson University, College of Charleston. Yes, sir.
Yep.
College of Charleston, Charleston Southern. You even think about South Carolina State, Furman, but you really don't think
the Gamecocks, maybe. Yeah. I knew you were.
You think about them. You think about them. 2 of them things, back-to-back College World Series champions. Now keep on going. I had to get you together there for a second. Thought I wasn't paying attention. Yeah, I'm looking on stuff. I can multitask.
Oh man, I'm sorry.
Cock-a-doodle damn do.
But Coastal Carolina on the big stage, but then they were going against, as Uncle Matt alluded to, heavily favored Arizona. It was. I was like, well, of course I'm a root for the home team, and man, we got a chance. They've been playing really well, but man, just the way it went down, and I was like, man, I wish I was back home. God. Coastal Carolina has been doing their program, baseball, football, all across the board. They've been doing some things this past decade. I ain't mad at them at all. Teal Nation, Chanticleer, stand up. Yes, sir.
Yep. See, but I knew you would just cheer for a chicken eventually for once in your life.
Oh, don't do that. Don't do.
Got your ass. All right, moving right on. Damn.
you dirty.
Boy, I can't wait till you edit and put the graphics up to this one. Yeah, I can't wait. Cannot wait. Go ahead and use that picture from the from Buffalo Wild Wings where you was flexing with you, where he's doing the dab with the crimson shirt, and I'm doing my stank face with the Carolina jersey. Classic.
Classic.
Uncle Max, that's a great one. That is a great one. That was a hellified team, man. Yeah, they went 55-18. If I'm not, no, I'm sorry. Yes, they went 55-18 that year. Good team. Moving right along, we got Corey Logren. He said the 1979 World Series win by the Pittsburgh Pirates with the comeback from down 3-1. Got a lot of 3-1 themes going on.
Yeah, that was one of my earliest childhood sports memories was the Pirates coming back to win that. Having to win games 6 and 7 both on the road. They won the last 2 games in Baltimore. Willie Stargell hitting the deciding home run in Game 7.
We are family with Pops Willie Stargell. Yep, the whole family. All right, the coolest name in the game, JoJo Comfort. He said the year was 1985 when Raleigh Massimino's upstart 8th-seeded Villanova Wildcats upset the late John Thompson's heavily favored number 1 seeded Georgetown Hoyas in the NCAA Finals. And then he also said, I consider this to be the quintessential example of the whole being greater than the sum of its parts. Quintessential.
Yeah, way to work in a nice, smooth sentence there, JoJo Comfort. But a good...
Him's education.
Yeah, but an excellent call on that one. That was one of the pictures I used on Facebook when we posted this picture was Villanova upsetting the heavily favored team of Georgetown led by Patrick Ewing.
Yep, led by Patrick Ewing. That was a loaded team. Good old, what was that? Good old Big East. That's when the Big East was the Big East. That was a premier conference, man, basketball. Roddy Bradley Piper. Yeah, I know I gave him a bad nickname, but so what? You'll get a better one as time progresses along. Bradley Piper, he said Terry Bradshaw versus Roger Staubach in Super Bowls 10 and Super Bowls 13, and he got specific with it.
Yeah,
I saw what he did here.
This is we're asking for upset, and Brad, that doesn't mean that when my team loses, I'm upset. Steelers were good. There was no surprise there. He's just trying to take a dig at me. Next.
Yeah. When the Super Bowl's played in January, yeah.
He doesn't understand. Next.
Yeah, in 76.
What's the barber say? Next.
Moving right along. Bradley Piper, you've officially struck the nerve of Scottie D, and he ain't done yet. So we're not about to burn that good material on this foolishness and chicanery. Joey Buckets, swish. Joe Gaffigan, he said LeBron and the Cavs against the Warriors, down 3-1 to a team who literally had 9 losses all year. Not sure any NBA team would have come back from a 3-1 deficit in the finals at that point, and the Cavs won Game 7 at the Oracle.
Oh yeah, very very surprised. That's a great one. That's another one I hadn't even thought about right under my nose there. But forget about it just being on the road and forget about 3-1. When that series started, I didn't think that the Cavs had a chance of winning that one.
They had a snowball's chance.
Yeah,
right?
I mean the Warriors were just too good. That was even pre-KD.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that was, but 73 and 9.
Yeah,
the winningest NBA regular season of all time, and they were clicking on all cylinders. And LeBron said, "Nah, you count me out." Cleveland, this is for you.
This place was nuts.
I
wasn't even up here, and Mercedes told me at the time it's crazy. They shut down like I-90 because it was that damn nuts. Like going into the city, that damn crazy. 2 million people all at once. Oh my God, I should have called off work that day.
That was yeah. I don't like it but LeBron, they keep comparing him to Jordan as the GOAT. Nah, but we're not going to talk about it. This is Amtrak. Good answer, Good answer. Yeah, all right.
Good answer. I hear some salt and grinding on the rails of the train, but we'll keep going. JR, he said 1991 Duke versus UNLV en route to winning the national title.
Yeah, that's the one I was talking about earlier. I understand the answer, but it's incorrect, JR. Sorry. Just because it wasn't the championship. But I understand what he's getting at there.
You got to come correct when you come on this.
Yep. All right, so here we go. Actually, in a reply to Joe Gaffigan's comment, Trey Dizzle said, LeBron.
Oh,
here we go. He you know, he good for a paragraph. He said LeBron dominated that series, averaged almost a triple-double, if not triple-double, if not a triple-double. One more time, Trey Dizzle. You got me jacked up over here. But this cemented him as the GOAT in my eyes. Jordan's team were stacked, and he never won versus a better opponent in the finals. Every team they played was weaker overall. Jordan lost every playoff series he was ever in, where the other team was favored to beat him.
Hold on, let's you know what? I'm not gonna allow this anymore. I'm so sick of what does that even mean?
It means nothing. I'm trying to hold you back. I'm physically holding you back right now.
Every team was weaker because Michael Jordan was on the winning team. What do you mean? Like, LeBron James won. This is the one. This is the one I'm going to give him. I'm going to give him this one because he played a better team. This is the one. The other championships he's got, he clearly was the better team. Him, freaking, D Wade and Chris
Ray
Bosh.
Allen.
Those two right there.
Yeah.
Ray Allen, come on, bro. I'm not trying to hear that. Jordan's teams were not stacked. You had Michael Jordan, Scottie Pippen, and at best, you throw in Dennis Rodman. And name somebody else on that team that.
And the Stockton Malone teams were pretty good, and they beat him in 6 both times.
Come on, bro.
Yeah.
I am not trying to hear that argument no more. See, I was gonna let that GOAT talk, but you see, Eddie Cool, you did it to me. I just, oh my goodness. Yes, this one that didn't solidify nothing. Nathaniel, Nathan, Zilch, nada. That solidified nothing. That was great. That will put him up there as one of the greats of all time. One of the greats of all time. That did not make him the greatest of all time. Because if he was the greatest of all time, he wouldn't have needed super teams. And I'm taking my talents to something. You know what? Bring it back. Bring it back. Bring it. Oh boy.
Welcome to the SportsBros podcast, where every once in a while you just might get a rant. Episode 95. B Live and Scottie D goes off. Will we get the trifecta? Oh hell, we just might. You never know. So a big shout out to Terrible Pete, Craig Burns, Rodney, Trey Dizzle, Matty Ice, the Hall of Famer himself, Uncle Max, Corey Logren, the best name in the game, JoJo Comfort, Bradley Piper, and Joey Buggins, Joe Gaffigan, for their contribution to this week's Choices of the Voices. Scottie D, what was your answer?
All right, I went between two. I was a little bit torn. The 2004 Detroit Pistons beating Shaq and Kobe and Karl Malone and that whole team. That Pistons team of 2004, they had Chauncey Billups and Hamilton and Wallace. Just when I look back at great teams, that's not one I rank up there. There was disarray with the Lakers. Karl Malone was on the Lakers that year, and he got hurt, didn't play in the finals. Shaq was in foul trouble. Anyway, that shouldn't have happened. But the one that to me was a huge surprise was the 1988 World Series, where the Oakland A's went down in 5 games to the Dodgers. And that Oakland A's team, they went to the World Series 3 straight years, and they only won 1 of the 3. And that team had dynasty written all over it. You had Canseco McGuire, you had Dave Henderson. Dave Stewart was pitching for that team, and he was unstoppable. They had Bob Welch as their number 2 starter. They had Dennis Eckersley in the pen. And the Dodgers' best player, Kirk Gibson, was hurt. Yet he comes off the bench and hits the classic home run that we've seen 1,000 times to win Game 1. McGuire and Canseco each hit one home run in 5 games and didn't have another hit between them. Each one had one hit, a home run apiece, and that was it. And Oral Hershiser just shut down that Oakland A's lineup. And I was stunned. I couldn't believe it because that Dodgers team, if you even go back and look at that lineup from 1988, it wasn't like the most impressive lineup. It's not like chock full of Hall of Famers and great players, whereas the A's team was. And that was a huge surprise to me. So I'm going with the 88 Dodgers. Tommy Lasorda's last World Series. Be Live, what say you?
Well, I did a little bit. I did a little bit of digging because Uncle Mac stole my answer. I was really heavily leaning towards Coastal Carolina, but so I want to bring some freshness. I want to bring something that the voices didn't say, which I think was quite the story. The 2013-14 college basketball March Madness championship game was against a number 7 ranked Connecticut and a number 8 ranked Kentucky. Now, the significance of that is that Connecticut, for the longest time, has always been known as a women's college basketball school. Mm-hmm. Sounds like another team in the state of South Carolina, but I digress.
The University of South Carolina Gamecocks. Keep going. I'm going to get you every time.
And then Kentucky is one of the blue bloods. When you think of college basketball, there's 5 schools that you think about. There's Kentucky, Kansas, Duke, North Carolina, UCLA. So to have Kentucky A to start as the number 8 seed, I believe that was the beginning times of the one and done John Calipari era. So they had a young upstart team, but they just loaded with talent. I think they had 6 5-star recruits on their team. And just going into that, you just thought, okay, who's gonna do what? And I just really thought that Connecticut ended up solidifying themselves when they beat Florida in the semifinal. But for them to make it all the way through to win it all as a number 7 seed, I just think the entire body of work makes them one of the most surprising championship teams of all time. Mm-hmm. So UConn, was that a Kemba Walker team?
Yep.
So yeah, and that put him on the D map. So
no, I don't
shout out to the Husky.
Shabazz Napier was their go-to guy.
Yes, I see that now.
Kemba was a couple years before that, I'm pretty sure, because Kevin Ollie was coaching that team, and I think when Kemba was there, Calhoun was still his coach, and I think that may have been like 2008, somewhere in there.
Okay.
Kemba was a killer. He was a butcher knife killer. Either ways.
Well, Shabazz Napier was also he was that dude. He was that dude, and so. Well deserved, and just like I said, the seedings and the rankings, 7, 8 seed. First of all, you don't see that. I believe at the time that was like if you add the 2 seeds in the national championship game, I think that was the highest of all time. So, and just to make it that far, and that when they beat Florida, that was the one that was a shocker to me because that Florida team that year was. Of course, they were number 1 seed. I believe they might have been number 1 overall that year. Again, I'm not an expert. I'm just a fan. But that was definitely that year. That national championship definitely stood out to me as well.
All right, so that leaves me. The answer's been somebody said the answer already, but I'm gonna have to roll with the Dallas Mavericks defeating the Miami Heat in the 2011 NBA Finals. Fellas, think about it. LeBron, he's down in South Beach making noise. We're going to win not 1, not 2, not 3, but you get the rest, right? And so that Dirk Nowitzki was the all-time stalwart in the history of the Mavericks program and the Mavericks franchise. He was the man in Dallas. Would spend 37 years there as a member of the Dallas Mavericks. Had an MVP. The only thing that eluded him was an NBA trip to the finals and a win and a ring, if you will, to the NBA Finals. And that year, they beat the Miami Heat 4-2 to win the series and get the franchise's first ever and only NBA championship. Because
I'm sorry. Go ahead. I'm sorry. I'm seasoned. My bad.
okay, and I was thinking, I was like, wow. I don't know, because the Heat struggled coming out the gate. They did. Just trying to make sure just the chemistry of the team, everything was crazy, wild, nuts. But the Heat finally hit their stride, and then the Western Conference was the Western Conference. Yeah, the Western Conference was the Western Conference.
Then, yeah.
You know, I think I think like every team is in the Western Conference, and I'm looking at it now.
Like 1 through 8 was very close. I think like the 8th seed and the 1 seed were only a few games apart. It wasn't. It was I think that was the year that was crazy. But they were all bunched in there together.
Yeah, everybody was good. I mean, you had Memphis getting in at 40. The playoffs. You had Memphis getting in at 46 and 36 at the 8th spot. The New Orleans Hornets / Pelicans. They both had the 7 and 8 spots with their records. Then you had the Trailblazers at 48 and 34, the Nuggets at 50 and 32 for the 5 spot, the Thunder at 55-27 for the 4 spot. The Mavericks were a 3rd seed, 57-25. The Lakers were 57-25, and the San Antonio Spurs were head and shoulders tops of the conference at 61 and 21. So they just beat up everybody, and that they beat up everybody, but they couldn't topple the doggone Dallas Mavericks. They wanted more, and they ran into the Miami Heat, who had the 2 spot in their conference as well too. And the rest, as they say, is history. Dirk finally gets his ring, rides off into the sunset. But guess what? We didn't hear the end of the Miami Heat as they came back and won a couple championships after that. But yeah, I would pick the Dallas Mavericks winning the finals. And also, we mentioned earlier, Cleveland might get mad at me. The year the Marlins defeated the Cleveland Indians in the World Series. Classic case of putting the team together, and you had that year, I forgot which year it was, but that team of the
97, that was
loaded.
An incredibly loaded team.
Yeah, was loaded. I mean, they're going to win the pennant, they're going to win the World Series. And then Edgar Renteria, Levon Hernandez, and the crew, they was like, well, we got other, we think otherwise. And then the unexpected happened. The Marlins won that series, and the Indians haven't been the same since. So, we got the Marlins of 97, right, Scottie D? You got the 97 Marlins win it all, and the 2011 Dallas Mavericks winning it all as well.
Well done. Good call.
And that was very good. And the part that I do apologize for interrupting on, the Mavericks versus the Miami Heat, that's the reason LeBron will never be the GOAT. He had a loaded team.
Hey, Jason Terry was good. JJ Barea, he was good.
But exactly.
Dirk was good too.
Well, Dirk is that dude. Now, Dirk is that dude. He's Hall of Fame. There ain't no doubt about that. Dirk Nowitzki is definitely Hall of Fame. But the rest of that squad, and you got the oh boy, we gonna keep it moving. Eddy Cool Amtrak, great game. Yes, great.
Sean Marion, Deshaun Stevens, away past his prime, Peja Stojakovic, that's JR's boy. Tyson Chandler, Brian Cardinal, fellas. Exactly. Yeah, I ain't got to say nothing else. Brendan Haywood, nothing else has to be. Okay, I'm done. Nothing else has to be said. So, so that's what we got for the choices of the voices. And once again, thank you for your participation in this week's choices of the voices. Scottie D.
All right, as we mentioned, we are a long way from next football season. So as you look forward to 2021, we ask you, what would you like to see the NFL do to improve for the 2021 season? Now, you can be creative on this. You can talk about rules changes if you want. You can say, well, it might be cool if the players had swords and they were allowed to use swords out there on the field. Whatever you
the
think the NFL could do to improve their product in 2021, that's your question for the week. It would be funny if they had swords, wouldn't it?
Ladies and
No helmets if they choose.
Oh, Eddie,
Power
Yes,
Rangers and Thundercat swords, I guess.
oh, you just had to hear it from my end.
Tune in to next week's edition of the Choices of the Voices, where we somehow, some way suspend our disbelief. Because I don't know what the hell just happened. Be Live, when you edit this, keep all this and don't take not name one of it out.
Oh my God. It was just Scottie D was doing his thing. What the hell? Oh my God. He wasn't ready. And
I was real subtle with it too. I was like,
what the
I'm over here looking at, all right, Pepper, I'm gonna do this, and swords and lasers. What the hell? You gonna do what?
You were listening.
Oh my
God. Sword, it was a sword for me. It was a sword for me.
Oh, you were listening.
Oh, boy.
God, you said sword. The hell? It's going to be real life Dungeons and Dragons. Literally.
Oh, boy.
We'll see. It'll be Revenge of the Nerds 2022. What the hell we got going on here?
Oh, boy, you almost took me out.
These guys haven't seen a razor and a girl in 20 years. What the hell's going on?
Okay, boys, let's bring it home with a round of pepper.
Well, you heard the woman. We're going to take it on home with another round of pepper. You know how we do it. 3 topics, and we talk about it. We entertain, enlighten, we ramble. But guess what? It's 3 topics, and we're going to talk about it. And I'll go first. We're going to play the number games, fellas. 497. Can anybody ask me what's the importance of 497?
What's the importance of 497, Eddie? Cool.
Oh, Scottie D, I'm so glad you asked. As B-Live alluded to earlier about Patrick Mahomes running backwards and looking like Dorothy Hamill on skates, that is the number of total yards Patrick Mahomes ran to avoid the vaunted Bucs defense.
Jeez.
497 yards every which way, from pillar to post, from the window to the wall. Patty was running them all. Routes, he ran routes for me, you, your mama, and your cousin too. The boy was scrambling. Tampa Bay wins 31-9.
That's scrambling for your ass.
Scrambling like eggs in a hot ass pan. Over to you,
right, so Matty Ice, pay attention to this, please. This is for Patriots fans. Patriots fans, y'all had an incredible run, but Tom Brady doesn't play for you anymore. Your team did not win the Super Bowl Sunday, so don't act like you're all happy and cocky because Brady won another one. It's not your trophy. It's Tampa's. You know, you had him. You don't have him. You had him. You had Belichick. Now you have Belichick. Simon left. You have Garfunkel. So don't act like this is your big trophy anymore. Patriots fans, the run is over. Congratulations, Tampa Bay. Be Live. Over to you.
Wow.
You got Garfunkel.
He's Scottie D said at the beginning of this show that he was coming in.
Yeah.
Boy, I did not put on my other mitts because I just got burned, and I'm not even a Patriots fan.
All my eyebrows are singed and my nose hairs. Everything gone. Naked face.
All right. Let me try my first pepper point. I'm gonna try to bring it. But all right. One of my favorites hashtags. One of my favorite phrases. All roads lead to Dabo, and that's how much I bleed orange. You hear it through and through, 95 episodes deep. I love my Clemson Tigers, and I love when they go on to the NFL and start building a career. But what you not gonna do is what you ain't gonna do. I'm gonna get real ignorant real quick. What you ain't gonna do is go out there and act the donkey like you don't know how to play football. Breshaud Breeland, I'm on your ass. What were you doing at all yesterday? That we're recording on Monday. Sorry about that. What were you doing? You couldn't cover a paper bag blowing in the street.
Wow.
You couldn't. Oh my good.
What else could he not cover? Be live.
Oh my Lord. I'm gonna bring it back because I'm gonna be real incoherent real quick. Because this dude right here, I'm over here like every which way. I kept seeing number 21 Breeland for Kansas City. If it wasn't a penalty, it was getting his ankles broke. And I mean, just go. What? Just you just getting burnt and just oh boy. I'm gonna need you to hashtag do better. I even made a meme where you became the newest edition of the SportsBros Victim. Yes, I finally found the stencil. I lost the stencil. I had it saved somewhere. I lost it, found it again. So there was a couple of victims. First SportsBros Victim of 2021, Breshaud Breeland, do better, Eddy Cool, the ball.
Wow. Yeah. I'll talk about the next victim later. Not this paper point, but number 2. On this day in history, in 2006, Al Michaels joins the NBC Sunday Night Football broadcast team with, boom, tough action tonight, and John Madden himself. The dynamic duo is reunited once again. Before that, Al Michaels was the voice of Monday Night Football on ABC forever. I forgot the amount of years, but he was on there forever. And John Madden was also with Pat Summerall on the NFL on Fox since its inception back in 1994. Al Michaels joined on August 2006. Reason that date is so important because that is the second and current run of the NFL on NBC. The first run was back in like 1939 before they had color TVs, and ended right in 1998. And Al Michaels. Guess what he's going to be doing next year at this time? A few days from yesterday. He's going to be lead commentary for Super Bowl 56 with, here's a guy himself, Chris Collinsworth. Shout out to Al Michaels and keep on doing what you do. Over to you, Scottie D.
It's okay to be happy for Brady, but he's not your guy. He's not your guy anymore. Let's let it go. All right. So Saturday, I tuned in to the Waste Management Phoenix Open, which is held in Phoenix. And at top of the leaderboard was Jordan Spieth. He was tied with Xander Schauffele. And I'm thinking, wow, this could be the comeback story. I mean, guys, 4 or 5 years ago, we thought Jordan Spieth was going to just start setting records for majors. He's going to win all the time. And he has not been very good the past couple of years. So I'm thinking, as I'm watching Saturday, this could be a golfer comeback story of the year. And on Sunday, the comeback began for Brooks Koepka. Koepka was injured last year. He had a bad back, bad knee, bad attitude. And he said, with the fans coming back, he's rejuvenated. He's physically feeling better. And dude just made a charge from back of the pack. And Brooks Koepka is the man to watch out for in 2021. Be live. Over to you.
The bomber is back.
Oh, yeah. All right. Earlier in the episode, we talked a little college basketball, and you heard me mention about the Blue Bloods, the staples of college basketball, and I named 5 teams, and I will name those teams again in the likes of Duke, North Carolina, Kentucky, Kansas, UCLA. And I will continue to mention UCLA, even though they haven't done much in the modern era of college basketball. But just them in the decade of the 60s, that's a staple to college basketball. And for anybody to not include that program is criminal. With that being said, though, 2021, this 2020 to 2021 season has been detrimental to the college blue bloods in college men's basketball. And it is now official that all 5 of the college blue bloods that I mentioned, none of them are ranked, with Kansas, the Jayhawks, now falling out of the top 25. I don't know what to tell you. As it even sits, Kansas right now still will probably be in the dance. North Carolina looks like they're going to be the last 4 in. But as it sits right now, Duke and Kentucky are not even going to make the tourney.
What is going on?
What is going on in the world today? Yo, Eddy Cool, the ball.
The college basketball tournament, it's going to look real different this year because for generations, we are used to seeing UCLA, Duke, Kentucky, Kansas, North Carolina, all of them. Now we might not see any of them.
It's going to be like watching the Avengers with no enemies. Yeah.
Man, what's the purpose?
Bring all the good guys.
We don't know what happened at this point. Yeah. Hey, let's get along. Let's cook dinner. Ain't nobody going to push somebody in the mouth or talk about nobody's mom or kick them in the groins. All right. And speaking of kicking in the groins, I'm going to try my best not to really beat this dude up from a third and final pepper point. But B Live can relate to this one. And Scottie D, you just come along for the ride. It's going to be good. As I mentioned earlier, Eric Fisher, Mitchell Schwartz, and Dr. Laurent Duvernay-Tardif, all 3 were unavailable for Super Bowl 55. These men are important because they protect that $500,000 investment under center known as Patrick Mahomes. The first pepper point, 497 yards, equate to the number of yards that Patrick Mahomes ran trying to avoid the Bucs defense, and towards the end of the game, JPP and them cut his ass in half. Which leads me to my third and final pepper point of this episode. There's a gentleman by the name of Mike Remmers.
Mike Remmers.
Mike Remmers. Yes, Mike Remmers, okay? 31 years old, from Portland, Oregon, all this stuff, blah, 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 yakety smackety. He went undrafted in 2012. Mike Remmers was good enough to at least get signed and make some nice money. But then he hit a little schneid as a member of the Carolina Panthers, infamously for getting manhandled and abused by Von Miller en route to the Broncos winning Super Bowl 50. Fast forward a handful of years later, look at here. We got to deal with Mike Remmers all over again. As soon as I saw him on my TV, it said Mike Remmers, it's over with. It's over with. You want to know why? Because deja vu all over again for the 6'5", 308-pound offensive tackle who signed a 1-year deal with the Kansas City Chiefs. They beat this man ass from the window to the wall. Everything fell. It was bad. Sometimes they say history repeats itself. But in Mike Remmers' case, it's a dream that never ends. It's been a nightmare. Now, when he was with the Vikings in 2017, he signed a 5-year, $30 million contract with the Vikings. But he dealt with getting hurt and concussions and everything. That was after he left Carolina. So you mean to tell me this dude who got his ass whipped in the Super Bowl by Von Miller is worth that much money? But I understand in the age of COVID, people don't want to play, and you got to do what you got to do to plug holes and make things happen. But Mike Remmers, man, you, sir, are the second victim of the SportsBros podcast in 2021. You and Breshaud, I'm on skates, Breeland.
Man.
You two. We should throw you in the penalty box for poor performance. What the hell? Mike Remmers is the gift. He ain't the gift that keeps on getting.
He never gave nothing. Oh, boy. Ooh, I'm sorry.
Mike Remmers is the nightmare that never ends. The nightmare that never ends. He got his ass. You want some too, old man? He got his ass whooped the whole entire game. Once again, Tampa Bay 31, Kansas City 9. Kansas City, I hope you get your boys back. Because if you got Mike Remmers there again, you're finna be the drizzling. You finna run it down the leg. Remmers should be third string in his career.
Well, but this is now Mike Remmers' 8th NFL team in 9 years in the league. If that doesn't say anything. And just this little thing from Wikipedia where there's probably just a little opinion piece, but it's pretty good. Mentioning his first stint in the Super Bowl, Remmers had the worst professional game of his career in the Super Bowl as he was primarily matched up against the eventual game MVP Von Miller, allowing multiple pressures and 2 sacks, both of which led to fumbles recovered by Denver. Well, now we get to change that because that was his second worst professional game of his career when you've got the heir apparent, the baby goat, running for 497 yards.
Looking like Dorothy Hamill on skates.
No wonder he can't do anything, get the ball down the field. He's huffing and puffing because he got to run 20-some yards just to get a pass off. Just Remmers, oh my goodness! Please, it's not. I'm not advocating for somebody not to have a job
because we all need jobs.
But
Lord knows we need jobs.
We all need. But if you're not good at a job, I'm sorry, they do tend to let you go. So sometimes you gotta let it go. But yeah, I'm sorry, my bad. That was your pepper. I just had to chop up some jalapenos and spice it up. I couldn't just.
But I'm glad you jumped in, B-Lab, because I'm as soon as I saw Mike Remmers on the TV screen, I said, "Oh shit." Yeah, that's what I said. Yeah, I know I dropped the dump button, but yeah, I couldn't. And no, it was not the Snoop Dogg 19 Crimes Red Wine. Good stuff. That's 2 checks, Snoop. As soon as I saw Mike Remmers, I went to cussing. I said, "Oh boy, here we go. It's over with. It's over with. It is over with." Did everybody get their peppers in, or did I miss anybody?
You got to go around to Scott, and then I'll finish.
All right, enough about Mike Remmers. Scottie D.
All right, I was going to give a little bit of a farewell to Leon Spinks, who passed away this past week. He had defeated Muhammad Ali. Then I thought maybe I would talk about Nick Saban's best number 1 ranked class coming in and how we might repeat next year.
Whoa.
I decided not to talk about our Crimson Tide repeating or Leon Spinks, but instead I decided to talk about Drew Pearson going to the Hall of Fame. How about them Cowboys? The last player from the all-70s decade team to get inducted into the Hall of Fame. It was a travesty that he waited this long, but his wait is finally over. The first great 88, the receiver of the first ever Hail Mary, is now going to Canton, and I, for one, couldn't be any happier for him. And that's all I have to say about that. B-Live, over to you.
Well, I'm
flabbergasted.
I'm very glad for Drew Pearson, very much so. If you ever come out with some blasphemous bull out of your mouth ever again, so we have our own hashtag, and I allowed it.
Roll Tide.
But man, you didn't sign it with the
Roll Tide.
Wow, shut up.
My nose is running.
Anyway, third and final pepper point. I'm gonna have to bring it down because Scottie D just know how to get to me. In the sports broadcasting world, I won't say we because we're not professionals, but there are people that we look up to and we enjoy listening to bringing their analysis of a sport and everything like that. And there's certain people that are that I would say just household names. And we lost a great one this past week. Actually happened during the Super Bowl. And we actually don't have much more information, but I would like to take this opportunity to honor Pedro Gomez. He's a baseball analyst for ESPN, and he was a household name. You just knew when you were about to watch baseball tonight, you were going to hear his expert analysis and his take on the game. And it was definitely something that I looked forward to. I'm pretty sure the guys here look forward to. And to find out that he passed away unexpectedly, and we don't have any other information, but it's sudden, it's before his time, and we just prayers and condolences goes out to his family and to his coworkers and everyone that knew him. So rest in peace, rest in heaven, Pedro Gomez.
I wasn't expecting that, man.
Yes,
you just think he's going to be around. He's like Peter Gammons and Tim Kirkjian and some of these baseball guys. Baseball rolls with them, and there they are, and they're experts. And yeah, man, that really sucks. That really sucks.
Yeah, man, that does stink. Just like you said, a cornerstone, a mainstay, if you will. You think about that 4-letter network and the personalities that we see from John Shambi to Carl Ravitch to either I forgot he's a new guy, but he's a mainstay as well too. And then to lose Pedro Gomez, especially like he was only 58, fellas, only 58 years old, and it was unexpected. So our heart goes out to the Gomez family and his employees and his colleagues. And loss is very terrible, very tough. We don't want to end the show on a somber note. Life goes on, and let's remember the good memories of Pedro Gomez and the ones that we lost before us. But with that being said, there's been another episode of the Sports Bros podcast, action-packed, wild, crazy, a couple rants. We got a duck button. So, fellas, I think we got the Sports Bros hat trick.
We all feel better that we got some things off our chest this week.
That's very much so. And then some of that stuff you could have kept in your chest, they'll roll tide bullshit.
Say it with your chest. Say it with your chest.
God.
Yeah. All right, fellas, we finna get up out of here. And that being said, Scottie D, where
you can find me on Facebook. I'm on there each and every day. You can find me slinging some lunch at Trinity High School. And I want to give a shout out to my boy Brian Early, who was my UPS driver this past one. He's got to be just roughing it out there in the cold without me. So shout out to him as well. Be live. How about you, buddy?
Yeah, where can they find you?
Well, they can find me on the Sports Bros podcast, various social media outlets. Hopefully, our listeners are pleased with some of the stuff that the Sports Bros have been cooking up the past couple of weeks. My plan for 2021 more than anything is to dedicate more time to the Sports Bros podcast. I thoroughly enjoy and love my bros. The listeners out there greatly appreciate that, and we want to take this to the next level. So stay tuned stay tuned. Look at our Instagram. Check us out. I need to work on that Twitter thing. But I'm telling you, YouTube, Instagram, Facebook, I'm telling you, we're coming with it, and we're coming in 2021 hot. Just like Scottie D came into this episode hot. That's what we're doing 2021. So stay tuned to our various media outlets. Also, any questions, comments, concerns about the show, hit us up via email, sportsbrospcast@gmail.com. Any and all input is greatly appreciated, and it helps us to grow the brand, because this is a brand, and we're gonna take it to the next level. So that's where you can find me. And also you can find me in St. Louis. Now you can't find me there, but I just had to do it. Eddy Cool, where can they find you?
They can find me on all of the aforementioned Sports Bros podcast, social media platforms, that YouTube channel. We got something coming up. You can also catch the Sports Bros podcast. Damn near all over the place on Apple, Spotify, Google Podcasts, wherever podcasts are available. To our Apple listeners, we do check the numbers, and we realize that a lot of you listen to the podcast on Apple iTunes. Go do us a favor on Apple iTunes podcast. Leave us a 5-star review. Leave us a 5-star rating and give us a review. Just say, because Eddy Cool said so, or hashtag do better, hashtag all roads lead to Dabo, hashtag here comes the dump button. Say something. Just let us know that you are listening to the Sports Bros podcast, and we'll read them. We'll check them out. We like them. We love them, and we want some more of them. So check us out. We're all over the place, worldwide. Any final remarks or closing words, fellas, before we get up out of here?
We're gonna be just fine, aren't we?
Mobbish. We sure will. Scottie D, you take care, because it's cold out there, and don't go outside unless you got to. Be live. You stay safe. We finna get up out of here. And then closing, do something nice for yourself. And if you can, do something nice for someone else. They'll greatly appreciate it now more than ever. Next week, episode 96. On the march to episode 100, and trust me, you do not want to miss that one, because as they say, seeing is believing. It's been another episode of the Sports Bros podcast.
Yes, sir.